Hello everyone, March 14, 2023. Welcome to Daily Stock Market Update, starting with EMINI Futures SPX chart. You can see we are now bouncing. Okay, I told you guys yesterday, it's quite possible. You can see this confluence of support here. Okay, we came in this area and we are bouncing now. Okay, this area in December, market makers did not let us to break. So this is a very strong support. Somebody was buying. You can see all these bounces here. It was making a flag. People thought this is making a flag and we're going to break down here and go below this previous lows, but somebody kept buying and then we bounced. All right, so it was a trap here. So now we came to same area here and we are bouncing, and it came very close to my buy zone. Okay, so now tomorrow is PPI day. For some reason, if we go get a dump, if we get closer to this green area, it's a buy zone. So I told you guys multiple times yesterday, this is not the time to sell, or this is not the time to short. This is a time to buy. I hope you guys listen and took advantage of this, and we got a massive bounce today. Okay, now another thing you need to see, you can see this daily trend line, this dotted trend line. Now we are above that. We closed above this trend line, so which is a very bullish sign. All right, and okay, you can see this is the green buy zone and this is the red sell zone. All right, so if I zoom out a bit, you can see now buy zone is between 38.04 to 36.45. Sell zone is between 41.20 to 42.78. So now we are getting a bounce. The closer we get to this sell zone, you should be looking to sell or looking to short. Closer we get to green zone, you should be looking to buy. Okay, now the other thing is there's also this daily trend line. You can see this trend line here. Okay, so the closer we get there, it's going to be very close to the sell zone, so you should be looking to sell or take profit in this area. All right, so that's what we're planning to do. And let's bring SMA lines and see EMA lines and see if there's anything interesting here. I think it's not showing here. Let me show you on SPY what's happening here. You can see SPY, there's another scenario. By the way, we are also finding support on this trend line. Okay, you can see this trend line here. And also let me bring the volume back. You can see volume, we're getting a very high volume. And this is another trend line here on SPY. So we found support on this SPY. We had a gap down yesterday, and then now we are bouncing. All right, so tomorrow is PPI, and it is possible they might sell off again, but if you sell off and find support on this trend line, you should be looking to buy. Also, it's going to be very closer to my buy zone. Look at this confluence of support here. So same thing here, but most likely I think this already happened yesterday. All right, this already happened like this, and now we are going to get a bounce. All right, now on SPY, one thing to note, we are still below this blue. You can see this dark blue 200 SMA line. So it looks like this was basically a sell-off and a back test. So it is quite possible we can come down to test again and then bounce. So just be mindful of that. Or it is possible that this is it and now we're just going up and rally. Okay. Now these yellow lines are my gaps to fill. Okay. So my first target is 408. So it is quite possible 408 by the time we bounce. And also this is the trend line here. Let me extend it. This is the daily trend line on SPY. So this is the area which where you should start taking all the profits and start unlocking basically all the gains and let the runners run. But I think if we're going to touch here, most likely we're going to fill this gap at 408. All right. So that's the plan here. Now looking at futures, you see what happened on futures. I told you guys yesterday what's going on. Let me delete this line. You guys see, I told you guys we have bullish divergence on PPO and RSI. Okay, told you guys that's happening, and we could draw a trend line. We can draw a trend line like this. Okay, yesterday we did not have a breakout. Okay, yesterday we were here when we were recording, and today we have a breakout back test. You can see how beautiful this is. Breakout, back test, and now we are bouncing high. Now we are making a flag. We can go to this 200 SMA line tomorrow. All right, so it's very good to see how this whole technical things work. Also, you can see even on Nasdaq 100, we have a higher momentum on RSI, higher momentum on PPO, and you can see we can draw a trend line like that. Okay, and then you can see we had a breakout back test very nicely, and now we are bouncing high. All right, okay. Now going to VIX. VIX, I told you guys yesterday we have a bearish momentum on RSI PPO is, we cannot see that, but RSI was showing a negative momentum. So now VIX is selling off. It did find support here. Let's go to daily chart. So I do expect VIX to sell off, but today it was down more than 10%, which is in line with my estimation. So I think now this is the top we already saw. Tomorrow PPI, if for some reason if you again go up, you should be looking to buy. Then we're gonna dump later on. All right, that's on VIX. Okay, now going to Nasdaq triple Qs. Let's go with Nasdaq ETF. Very good bounce. Okay, look at this bounce on Nasdaq. All right, very good to see. We were up almost 2.3%. Wow, that's a crazy bounce. All right. Now I did expect there is this trend line here. Okay, you can see this trend line here on the triple Qs. We did not go there. Mainly SPY is selling off because of financials. Banks are not doing good. So then there's no reason to be selling off on tech right now. Tech is holding SPY. So it is possible we can come down later on in the future. Okay, so it doesn't need to be now. It's possible this happened. Now we're going for these two gap fills up, 322 and 328. One thing to note, we are very close to this trend line, resistance trend line. Okay, so tomorrow if we can break this will be very bullish. Okay, so keep an eye. This is about 300. Okay, around 300. If we close above this tomorrow, it's a very bullish sign. Okay, and let's see if we see any divergence. I don't see any divergence on 1 hour, so it's bouncing. Even on Nasdaq, everything is looking good. No, yeah, everything is good on Nasdaq. S&P 500 is also good. Yeah, everything is good so far. No issues. I think we're continuing the bounce. All right. Looking at Dow Jones. Dow Jones also, yeah, bouncing. This was most likely the basically the bottom. Now, one thing to note is still not above this trend line. You can see this daily trend line on Dow Jones. So it's possible we are back testing. We might get another lower dip to get divergence on RSI. On daily, I don't see any divergence. So if we get another lower low, that will have divergence on RSI. So that will be a good area to bounce. So again, everything is dependent on PPI. And I think this Friday is quad witching, so it will be very volatile this weekend. So these guys can do a lot of things and manipulate. Okay, but don't be scared to buy if we get lower. All right, that's the message. US 2000 is a bit weaker, but see what happened today. We are back on this trend line. Okay, we are back above this trend line. So we had a gap down, and today we recovered. Okay, so that's very bullish sign. So we might have seen bottom. Now we're ready for a bounce. Also, there's this trend line. We can extend this trend line. I like this one better. So so look for a bounce above this. If that happens, we're touching previous highs. All right. Crude oil was the market to be in. You can see what happened. Let me get rid of volume so you can see it clearly. I did buy some crude oil miners today because oil had a really nice opportunity to buy. You can see where we are. We are very close to support. If I zoom out, you can see support in this same area. So today was a very good day to buy oil miners. I bought CNQ, which is Canadian National Resources. You could buy XOM if you are American. So anyhow, but there's still no divergence. If I go to 1 hour chart, you can see what's happening here. RSI started to show a little bit divergence. PPO is still not showing it. So if you really want to wait to be safe, you can draw a trend line like this. Okay, draw a trend line like that and wait for a close above 72.90. Okay, a close above that will be a buy signal. So that means we are now ready to go to this zone around 82. All right. So crude oil is a good buy. Let's quickly look at XLE. Where we are with XLE. Okay, so we are still below this trend line. Okay, but I took. Ideally, you should be waiting to go above this trend line, but I'm a bit proactive and I'm willing to wait and take some losses if required. So it looks like we are breaking down and now we are back testing. So I really would like to see a close above this dark blue 200 SMA line to be bullish. But I'm pretty confident. I'm getting bullish, and I think there are these two gaps. Ideally, I would like these to fill to buy. But if I look at XOM, for example, just to show you, this is one of the biggest oil miners. It does look like it's on a support. You can see it's very close to this 200 SMA line, and it's not breaking. Okay, and it was green today. Okay, So I like this, and you should be looking to buy on support. You should not be looking to sell on support. Okay, so if I'll draw a trend line like this, okay, even on XOM, get rid of this yellow line, draw a trend line like this, you can see we are right on support, right? You can see we are right on support, right? So this is a time to buy, right? Okay, so that covers our oil sector. Natural gas looks like it doesn't want to come down to this level, so I told you guys maybe this is the bottom, okay, but we are almost there, okay, so don't be surprised if we already bottom, and if we go down, be willing to hold, because long term we are looking for these. There's a massive gap here on futures 4.3. So let's quickly see from here how far away we are. Like even from today, if we hold, it's 62%, guys. That's amazing. So just hold it, we will be there eventually. All right, Bitcoin is doing exactly as I said. Bitcoin is now pumping higher. All right, so there is this gap at the bottom. Okay, so it's now pumping. Now there's a lot of around this 28 to 31 area. There's a lot of resistance here, you can see here, and then also there's a gap here. So what could happen, okay, what could happen, we could we will reach this area for sure. Okay, 28 looks like we'll reach there. We can consolidate here. Okay, we can consolidate here, and we might pump higher to close this gap, and then we're gonna dump. Okay, so be mindful of this situation. All right, but this is gonna take a couple of months to happen. Okay, so it is quite possible in April or May we will have this kind of scenario, and also it is possible we won't be able to go above this. So it is quite possible we have a top here, and then we are dumping. So and then the other thing to note on Bitcoin, when we reach here, okay, see what's happening here. We are making higher highs, and there's less momentum on PPO and RSI. Okay, new high, RSI is low, PPO is low. So it doesn't mean it cannot go higher. Let's quickly look at 1 hour chart, see what's happening. You can see on PPO we have lower momentum, RSI is not showing it. So anyhow, you can draw a trend line like this. You can draw a trend line like this on Bitcoin. You can draw a trend line like this. I don't see a clean trend line. Looks like maybe futures. Let's quickly look at futures. Sorry, not futures, the live market. So can we draw a trend line on this? Let's see. Yeah, you can draw a trend line like that, okay? And now we are above, we're right on that trend line, okay? It needs to hold. If it doesn't hold, and also there's a lot of support here, it's quite possible we can even come to here. So there are two support areas here, okay? Actually, there's a lot of support here as well, you can see here. So you can draw some support levels here, okay? You can draw some support level here, like here one. And then let me quickly make this green, make this dashed line, and then there's another support here around here, okay? So which is where we are now. So if we dump, we can buy around 22,500. All right, so if tomorrow for PPI for some reason we are down here, so it's buy the dip right now basically. Okay, you buy the dips and then we go higher, and don't be too super bullish. This is our first target, 28k. We will be looking to sell here. All right, so we'll take SPY as our guide. If SPY reaches our sell zone, okay, let's go back to MES chart. If MES chart reaches our sell zone around this area, and that time we'll see where Bitcoin is, and then we'll be looking to sell the Bitcoin, right? Okay, now let's go back to where I was. Dollar. Okay, dollar was basically, it looks like dollar already made a top. Now it's dumping because Fed is pumping infinite money to save that California bank. So it is what it is. So I think it's gonna get weaker. I don't see how it's gonna go higher anymore. Gold was consolidating after a massive pump, which is expected. Let me see if I see any divergence on 1 hour. I don't see any divergence on 1 hour. RSI is showing slight divergence. You can see we made a higher high. So RSI is showing, but PPO is not showing. So what that means, we can draw a trend line again. We can draw a trend line like this maybe. Sorry, draw a trend line from here. Okay, putting the wrong tool. Sorry guys. Trend line here. You can draw a trend line like this. Okay, and then you can look to buy on all the dips. Okay, or gold is a dip to buy, and even there is a lot of support around this 1857 area. So if for some reason we come here, you'll be looking to buy. On gold miners, let's quickly take a look. There's a massive gap on daily chart. Gold miners here, okay, there's a massive gap here. So if you get a dip and if for some reason we are coming here, you should be looking to buy. And even on 1 hour chart, I see a divergence now on RSI, so it is quite possible we can get a dip here. And if you get a dip, you can draw a trend line like this, okay, something like that. You can buy on this trend line, or there's a lot of support in this area. If you get here, you should be looking to buy. So gold and gold miners are by the dip market, okay. All right, let's move along. Silver is same thing. Silver is going to do as gold is doing. So it's bouncing. There's no divergence on 1 hour. Sorry, on a daily. Not a lot of divergence on 1 hour chart. Let's quickly take a look. Divergence on RSI, divergence on PPO, we're going higher. So it is expected to dip. So it's by the dip market. So if you come back around 21, you should be looking to buy. All right. TNX, which are mortgage rates, were up. There was a gap created. Okay, you can see a gap created yesterday. We had a massive gap down today. We filled it. There's another gap here. Okay, and there's another gap around 3.5. Sorry, there's another gap around here, which is around 3.152. Okay, but I don't expect it to be bullish. I think actually one other thing to note, we are now back above this trend line. Okay, so it is possible we could go. So if tomorrow is a red day, by the dip day on SPY, it is possible we could fill this gap. Okay, so this gap will be filled. I don't know if it's going to be filled now or it's going to be filled later in this year when we're going to be really bearish. All right, so that's TNX for you. Let's quickly look at bond market. Here is bond. Okay, this is a daily chart of bond. We're going higher, finding a lot of resistance on this 200 SMA line. This is the blue line. Okay, so it is possible you might need to cool down a bit before we go higher. And I don't see any divergence on daily. On 1 hour chart, let's quickly see. No divergence on 1 hour chart yet. Slight divergence here, but let's see if we make a new high, and then if it's gonna be, actually there is a divergence on RSI. You can see here higher high. RSI is lower, but PPO no divergence. Okay, so bond looks like it might wants to cool down a bit, all right, before it goes higher. Okay, now let's quickly look at sectors. All right, we already talked about XLE. XLU had a good bounce from our utility sector. It's bouncing now from the support zone, so it's good. XLF had a gap down yesterday, and now we filled the gap. I really would like to see another lower low made on XLF with that will show a divergence on RSI, and that will be good area to buy. But on 1 hour chart, if you go and see, you can already see it's showing divergence on RSI already, and PPO still no divergence, but it looks like what you can do is you can draw a trend line. You can draw a trend line like this. Let's see if we can draw any clean trend line here. There's not a lot of clean trend line. Looks like we had a breakout already this morning, and now we are back testing it. So today was possibly a buy the dip, buy the day, buy the financial day. But for some reason, if we get another dip tomorrow, you should be looking to buy. Okay. Look, financials are not going anywhere, right? So these guys are not gonna let bank go bankrupt and all. These guys are printing infinite money, so don't be worried. I think this is very good opportunity to buy financials apart from oil sector right now. XLV is also bouncing from our support zone here. Okay, perfect bounce. Okay, so now I'm looking for higher highs here. And let's quickly look at Tesla. I told you guys yesterday we had a breakout on Tesla. If I go to 1 hour chart, you can see RSI was going higher, PPO was going higher. We had a breakout yesterday. I told you guys, look what happened here, breakout. Now we are going higher. There's a gap around 187. You can see the gap here. Another gap around 200. So I'm expecting these two gaps to fill. All right. So it's all going good. Apple, let's quickly look at Apple. Where did Apple go? Apple is here facing some resistance. I gave you guys a trend line yesterday. Not this trend line, you can draw a trend line like that. Okay, so it's bouncing from the trend line, Apple, and also it's facing a lot of resistance on this daily trend line. You can see this dotted line is facing resistance. So if it clears this, it's going to be very bullish move, and there is a gap around 163. That will be my target to fill. Amazon, very bullish. Amazon is there is a gap, I think, very close to 98. That should be filled very soon. Google found support on this trend line. Okay, Google found support on this trend line, and it's bouncing. There's a gap out 104 and 107, so expecting these to fill. Meta was very bullish. They laid off another 10,000 employee, and I told you guys on this day, 28th February, that we have a breakout of this trend line, and since then now Meta is pumping higher. All right. Netflix is another good opportunity to buy. Let's quickly look at 1 hour chart. I saw I draw this trend line. I wanted to buy Netflix, but I did not see this breakout. You can see there is a higher momentum on RSI. Okay, you can see higher momentum. PPO has higher momentum, so I'm just waiting for this breakout buy signal. When that happens, there are a couple of gaps here. So from here, it's going to be very explosive if that happens. So to the top gap, it's around 18.5% profit. All right. Microsoft looking good, starting to fill some of the gaps. All right. So very close to my second gap, 262. There are 3 gaps, so it's going to keep pumping, fill those gaps. Snowflakes, another massive gap here, around 154. It's going to keep going to fill that gap. NVDA, there's another target here. I think there's a gap around 257, so I'm looking to get that filled, and then that's it. AMD was really bullish again today. Again, there's a gap at the bottom. Let's see if there's any gap at the top. I don't see any main gaps here. There's a gap right on there, 118. I don't know when that's going to happen. Let's see how far are we from that gap. It's around, wow, that's around 37-40%. So I don't think that's going to happen soon, but we'll see. Yeah, guys, that's about it. If anything, let me know. Please, on your way back, like and subscribe and share with your friends and family, and have a good rest of the day and have a good night. Bye, guys.